Hey everyone, my guest today is Kennedy Schaal. Kennedy is the CEO of Rejuve Biotech, a biotech that is fully dedicated towards solving aging by using advanced AI models. They spun out of SingularityNet, which is a network of people that try to build benevolent AGI, so an AI that is more powerful, more capable than we humans, but at the same time still does things that we humans actually want. They developed a programming language specifically for this purpose, and Rejuve Biotech is using this language to find targets for drugs that might slow down, prevent, or even reverse the aging process. Kennedy is also working on one of the longest studies in the aging research field that there is. They selectively bred fruit flies to live significantly longer. In the beginning, they maybe just lived 40 days, but now they live up to 300 days. Through that, they hope to discover new pathways that are relevant in aging and later target those with specific drugs. So that's enough talking on my side. Enjoy my conversation with Kennedy Schaal. Maybe as we begin, can you tell us a bit the story of what got you into working on aging and longevity?
I went to UC Irvine, like most kids who were interested in science and biology. That's kind of been a lifelong thing for me. I sort of, when people ask, like, how did you get into science and medicine? My response is always, I was born this way. And so it's just always been a thing for me ever since I was a little kid. I've just always been fascinated with how the world works and how the body works, and why diseases happen, why some people are healthy and why some people aren't. That's just always been a fascination of mine. But so like most kids like that, I just naturally assumed that I would be a physician. I would grow up to be a doctor. And so I went to UC Irvine. I was pre-med at the time, and I knew that I had to join a research lab to make myself competitive for medical school. And so one of my first lectures that I attended as a freshman at UC Irvine was given by Michael Rose, who is a pretty famous figure in aging biology and longevity. And I didn't know that at the time. He was just my first ecology and evolution professor at the time. And his first lecture, I just really liked him. Like, I liked his kind of dry humor. I liked his lecture. I liked the topic of evolutionary biology and genetics. The elegance of it was just very attractive to me. And so I knew that he had a research lab on campus. And so I kind of marched myself into his office hours and asked him more questions about his lab. And he told me about the fruit flies, the Methuselah Fly project. This was the first time I heard about the Methuselah flies that he had started in 1980, selectively breeding for increased longevity, and that they were part of the longest running evolutionary biology experiment in existence, and that it was still ongoing. And that was his research lab, and they were studying the biology of aging and applying it to human aging related diseases. And it kind of clicked in my brain that this was sort of the ideal way to make preventative medicine a real thing. And he said, yes, that's correct. He said, unfortunately, our regulatory bodies aren't quite ready to go there yet as far as the medical establishment is concerned, but we're hoping that that changes. And I just kind of fell in love with the whole concept of treating the process of aging as a means of treating and preventing other chronic diseases and ailments, and really extending the healthy portion of a person's life, rather than having this tragic downward spiral at the end of your life that, not only is terrible for the individual and their families, but also for society at large. And so I asked him, I was like, can I join your research lab? And he said, yeah. He said, come join, we'll give you some projects to do. And I kind of joined at a really, really good time where he actually didn't have any graduate students at the time. And so I took the opportunity to step up and actually got to lead a couple of pretty significant projects. And when he did get a couple of graduate students, I actually ended up being the person who trained them in the lab, even though I was an undergraduate student at the time. And so I just really, really love this whole concept. And, the flies are a really elegant model for studying aging. We have a lot of genetic similarities with them. The way that we age is very similar. and they're a lot easier to study than mice and rats. And it made a lot of sense to me. And I sort of decided then that this was my calling. This is what I was going to do with my life. And my parents thought I was crazy because this was kind of fringe science still back then. This was more than 20 years ago now. And I was like, no, trust me, this is going to be a thing. And yeah. And from there, I ended up helping found like my first company. I spun out of that lab, and now I'm on my second one, and the rest is kind of history.
My next question, why SingularityNet, or how did you get connected to SingularityNet? Because Rejuve.bio is a spin-off out of SingularityNet. Like, what is your connection with this network?
Yes. So, so my first company that I was the founding lab director for out of UC Irvine was called Genesians. And they were the first company that took the Methuselah flies from UC Irvine and was establishing a biotech company using their genetic information to make longevity therapeutics. And we always had the goal of using artificial intelligence to sort through the massive amounts of data generated by the human genome and genome from model organisms. It kind of was obvious to us that was what we were going to have to use to help with all of that. And the scientist that we used at the time, who was our close associate, was Ben Goertzel. Ben Goertzel is considered by many to be the father of artificial general intelligence. He coined that term and has been a leading force in AI research for decades now. So he was the AI scientist that I worked with Genesient, who did our first AI analysis of the Methuselah fly genome and transcriptome, cross-analyzing it with Wellcome Trust data, with GWAS studies, publicly available human data sets that we had at the time that allowed us to use all of that tech with our first kind of proof of concept, where we took the AI and the fly genome, transcriptome, the human data sets. We were able to identify some pathways for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, identify some natural products that acted on those pathways. We took it through fly tests and actually took a supplement all the way to a human clinic for dementia patients, and found that it was able to help some people with Alzheimer's disease. And so that was like kind of our first little proof of concept of this AI fly model into humans, and actually, not hurting anybody and possibly even helping some people. And so that was how I got connected with Ben Goertzel, who is the CEO of SingularityNet now. And as Genesient's activities kind of wound down a little bit, he decided to scoop up the project and turn it into Rejuve.bio, and asked if I would step in as the founder and CEO, and I accepted. And now we have, kind of a more advanced AI backbone, because that technology has advanced over the last, 15 or so years since we first did that project. And we're now launching not only a standalone biomedical research platform, but also using it in-house with our even more advanced or more selected population of super Methuselah flies that we have now, that we're even have even better genetic signals for their longevity. And now we have even more human data sets, more model organism data sets that we can do this advanced cross-organism analysis of, with knowledge graphs and neurosymbolic AI architecture. And it's just like, it's, the sky is kind of the limit now. It's just, we just have to finish building it and get it working. So it's, so that's how I got connected to SingularityNet. And it's a really great ecosystem because they give us a lot of infrastructure. And I just happen to be the biotech spinoff of it. And there's a lot of different spinoffs across all different market verticals of this decentralized community of AI for good, really is the mission.
So with Rejuve Biotech, you're only focused on small drug discovery, or will you also later go into projects like advanced gene editing, or just small molecules?
Oh, I mean, At this point, I mean, I wouldn't take anything off the table at this point. I mean, yeah, I mean, right now, I would say on the near-ish future horizon, small molecules is probably the closest to what we have, because we do have, a couple assets that we have that I developed with my former company that we will, once we acquire a bit more funding, we will continue to explore, that will likely lead to some small molecules that could be promising. But I mean, once we acquire some pharma partners and some larger company partners, I mean, with the help of the advanced AI platform we're building, gene editing could certainly be on the table, of course.
So with Rejuve Biotech, you also want to use this platform that you built for licensing. Can you maybe tell a bit about how this should work?
Yeah, so it's essentially we're calling it now a proto AGI research assistant platform, because it's in its early kind of prototype stages right now, but eventually it will hopefully be a fully AGI research assistant. So essentially a platform that will be able to absorb all manners of data that your typical university research lab or biotech company or pharma lab might generate, all kinds of omics data, proteomics, transcriptomics, genomics, what have you, and basically build a research lab, a custom knowledge metagraph, so a graph of graphs. And then the neurosymbolic architecture that is being built into this platform will use these various different AI and ML algorithms to traverse this custom knowledge graph and pick out patterns and reason into these hypotheses that pick out these certain aspects of the data that you might think would have been unrelated otherwise, but actually there's something significant there. So the idea is to find patterns and significance that humans would have otherwise missed in the first place. And so generating more significant hypotheses and research guidance that would help lead to more novel therapeutics, more novel research directions that might be hiding in plain sight. And so really kind of an end-to-end research assistant, everything from like basic science to later drug discovery, fine small molecule target discovery, things like that. So yeah, so we'll use it in-house for aging-related diseases and longevity, of course, but any other research lab could use it for whatever they're researching. And we have a pretty good list of labs signed on right now to be beta testers in the next 9 to 12 months once our beta version is ready to be rolled out.
In your white paper, it says that you are about democratizing the advances in lifespan extension, and also SingularityNet has a big emphasis on a decentralized way of doing science. How is this interplay inside your mission with Rejuve Biotech?
Yeah, so we have a sister company called Rejuve.ai, who's more customer facing, who's launching a longevity app, which is in beta testing right now. And it's tokenomically incentivized. It's a Web3 project. And they had their token generation event back in March. The RJV token is out there. And so people will be incentivized through the RJV token to input their health data into the app. And they have a bunch of partners with like True Diagnostics and a bunch of other services where you can get your genome sequence and your methylation data and all that stuff. And so you can put everything into the app and it will calculate your biological age versus your chronological age and do all that. And it has all SingularityNets advanced AI built into its back end too, which we're also using to build some advanced age predictors and algorithms to help you with your longevity and your wellness goals, of course. And another thing that the app is also used for is that will also it's a way that we will be able to crowdsource diverse human data sets for the Rejuve Bio side, for our in-house use of our platform. And we're hoping that people will be encouraged to contribute their data, not only by getting paid through the RJV token, but they also have the opportunity to mint their data as individual NFTs on the blockchain. And so that will enable them to actually have agency and choose what specific research projects on the bio side their data gets used for. And so in the event their data is used in the creation of some blockbuster pharmaceutical, it actually serves as a profit sharing mechanism. So people can get fairly compensated for the use of their data in the creation of these products. And so, we don't have the 3andMe scenario where it's like, oh, we're just going to take your data anyways, and we're going to sell it to these pharma companies who are going to make billions of dollars off of it, and you're never going to see a cent of it. No, we don't want that to happen. We want people to be fairly compensated for the use of their data and the creation of these products. They can actually monetize their health data. And it also feeds back into the AI on the app side too, to give people better personalized health insights as well. And we're also hoping with these incentivizations that we can get a more diverse, robust human data set as well. Because one of the problems with AI in biomedical research that we're seeing is that it's still, bias is a huge problem, because the data sets that a lot of these AI algorithms are trained on in biomedical research, the data is biased. We have all of this data from research that we've done, in human history, and it all skews white and European. And so now it's 2024, and we have pulse oximeters that don't work on Black people. We have Indian and Black people being excluded from cancer trials because they naturally have lower neutrophil counts. It's all because of this biased data that's in the algorithm. The algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on, And so we need to have a way to incentivize a more diverse, robust human data set. And we hope that the Rejuve app can help alleviate some of that bias.
Yeah, I do really like the mission. I actually just recently did a podcast with Jasmine Smith, the CEO of Rejuve.bio. So I actually also already had the beta version.
Right. So, and I think it's awesome, for people to kind of be able to participate in biomedical research. And I'm hoping as a scientist, I think especially after the COVID pandemic, there was a lot of distrust that was made even worse in the scientific establishment. And I definitely agree that we as biomedical research scientists were to blame for a lot of that. We failed a lot in our communication and our education and our empowerment of people by kind of just assuming that people wouldn't understand what was going on. And this, I think, is a way to allow people to actually participate in biomedical research, kind of pull back, let them see the person behind the curtain, let them actually participate, take the research out of the ivory tower of academia, letting everybody participate, letting everybody be compensated for their data, for the work that we are doing as a collective community to have better medicines, have better quality of life for everybody.
More practical question: how does your connection with Rejuve AI work? So do you pay them for the data, or only in the case that you develop a drug based out of this data?
Yeah, so we are separate companies, but we're sister partnership companies. So Rejuve AI is a tokenomically incentivized company, and then Rejuve.bio is US equity based. So we are not technically a crypto project, or crypto adjacent, but not technically a crypto project. So it's just sort of a feedback loop. So the people will contribute their data. We have a data sharing agreement that we can use the people's data, as long as everybody consents, of course, to have their data used by Rejuve.bio and the biotech projects. And then as whatever revenue is made off of those products, there's a certain percentage that gets converted back to the RJV tokens that people get compensated for proportionally for the amount of their data that they contribute to those projects. And then our data, any insights we glean from our AI for those specific people's data gets fed back into the algorithms for the app. And so those people can actually get insights into their own health that we find on the biotech side as well. So it's sort of like, it goes like both ways.
A bit more on the personal side of your experience. How's it like to build a company, especially in this sector of drug discovery, which is like super hard with super long times till there's actually a payout or actually
Yeah,
that success
yeah.
shows?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely hard. It's not for the faint of heart for sure. I mean, I've been really lucky in that like I haven't had to do it like entirely from the ground up on my own. Like I've had this I've had really good support with SingularityNet as an incubator, giving me a lot of infrastructure support, and then so that's been really, really helpful. Like I have an amazing team of, on the platform side, I have an amazing team of developers who are extremely gifted, who were all trained by SingularityNet. SingularityNet actually has a school in Ethiopia where they teach people how to code, and they become really good advanced like AI coders. And so that's where my developers are, and they're really, really awesome. And my chief technical officer, Hedra, actually came out of that school. My lead bio AI developer, Abdu, is still there in Ethiopia, and he came out of that school as well. And I'm hopefully planning a trip here in the next year down to Addis, Ethiopia, to go see them. And I'd like to, develop a whole other like bio AI lab down there. I think would be really, really awesome. And so I've been lucky that I've been kind of like given sort of this like skeleton, this nice scaffolding to kind of like build on. And I haven't had to go it completely alone, but I mean, it is still hard. And then especially like right now, like getting VC funding is difficult. I mean, I think I read right now it's like the third lowest year for biotech VC funding or something like that for seed funding or new startups or whatever. And so that's been a little bit difficult. And then especially, being in the longevity field, which is still like, I mean, we're more mainstream now, but we're still like kind of a little bit fringe, but it's getting better. I think the tides are starting to turn. But it is, I mean, the people who understand it, that it's definitely like a long-term investment. It's a long haul, but I just kind of like try to keep my eye on the ball that this is, this is something I'm building for my children and my children's children, and like the world that they're going to live in, that they're going to inherit, to like make this better and like make the healthcare system better and make just quality of life for everybody better. And so it's sort of just like a higher purpose. Like it's not really like about the money or the payout for me. It's just sort of a higher purpose. And so, but yeah, it is hard.
What is your experience with doing that? Like you're mostly, except the fruit fly experiment, you're a remote company. How's your experience with doing remote for biotechnology company?
It's been good. I mean, yeah, everybody. I mean, I'm really lucky. I have a really, really good team who's very disciplined, and I'm not a micromanager, and I don't have to micromanage anybody. So, which is really great. I mean, right now, my team is, I mean, our main focus right now is the platform development, because software development tends to move a bit faster than doing experiments with model organisms and animals, and software development's a little bit less expensive than that as well, than drug development. And so that's sort of our main area of focus, is getting the platform out to a point where it can be beta tested and then licensed to be revenue generating. And so that's been, being remote with them has been great. It's been fine. I check in with all of them every day, and they give me weekly reports of how things are going. And I mean, compared to where we were like 6 months ago with the platform, it's incredible. It's incredible, like how far we've come. So I don't have any complaints about being remote with them at all.
What are the hardest parts in developing a company like this?
I mean, I want to make sure that like I develop for me, the most important part is to develop a company where people are happy working with me. I mean, it's sort of like not really on the side. I mean, developing, obviously I want to develop a great product or products that work and that are, scientifically backed and all of that and everything. But for me, like the personnel side is kind of paramount to me. Like I have no desire to be like, a Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk type person. Like it's much more important to me that people are happy working for my company and that they feel supported and respected and heard. So, I mean, just putting that infrastructure in place is what is right now like the most important thing to me. And I guess it's difficult in the sense that like, people kind of expect you to sort of like at this stage be like very nose to the grindstone and like forego everything and just focus on this. But it's like, like I have a young family. I know several people who work for me have young families and stuff like that. And that should come first. Like that should come first. And it's just, I don't ever want to lose sight of that. Like we're all humans and we're all here to like make the human condition better. And so, yeah, just not, I don't want to ever lose sight of that.
Yeah.
I guess that's a very un-American like thing.
But
Well, I mean, I think people do their best work and when they're happy, like when they feel supported, when they feel like, I mean, I think that foundation is really important. If it's not there and then you advance and then you get like a high level of turnover, you're going to end up like wasting capital and spending a lot more money finding people who are, as good or better than the people you already have. Like, why not just if you have a good team, which I have a great team now, I want to make sure they're as happy as possible, that they want to stay, like, so.
Yeah. So now coming a bit to what, like to the longevity field in general, you said that you are preparing some talks for a conference where you're going to talk about decentralized science. What do you think is the role of decentralized science for our progress towards defeating aging, maybe?
I was actually just talking about this with Greg McPherson from SRW yesterday, and we were talking about doing some collaborative work. And I've talked about this too at length with Keith Komodo from Lifespan.io as well too. And
okay.
I mean, from a decentralization point of view, like in longevity and aging-related diseases, yes, we all have our companies and we all like do need to make money at some point to survive and stuff. But I do think that there is space for more collaborative effort between all of us. And, we all have, I think we all have a lot of strengths that we bring to the table. I think that like we could do some things in terms of advocacy for pushing forward more legislation that could support us. I mean, especially in the United States and Europe as well, that could support our causes, getting more investment, more grants. Maybe, I mean, I've even thrown out like the idea of like a shared data commons that we all could use, or like a decentralized sort of like network of like kind of almost like a DPIN network that we could all have like, an open source like sort of data sharing like network or something like that, that we could use for our own research or something. Like if we were all willing to do that, I think that could help sort of advance everybody's sort of research that they're doing in longevity and science. Because I mean, I don't know, it's like I've always sort of seen it as with all of our companies, it's like the first person who solves aging, it's not like you're like the winner and stuff. I mean, it helps all of us, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all like trying to do this. I think that we need to sort of like move away from the traditional biotech ethos of having information and data like kind of siloed away and sort of having this more collaborative community. I mean, I definitely think that we have it more than other industries do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think more can be done.
So you talking about this network. What you meant is that actually companies that they share their proprietary data sets with each other to.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like everything.
Yeah.
Like just like some whatever they're willing to share.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
like if everybody would agree in a certain way, you could even make it maybe that everybody has a benefit out of this, especially if you manage to get it like for example with the data NFTs that you get rewarded for your data. You can make this, could maybe make it even in a big scale that a company could submit their data and get
exactly. I mean, we could get Vita in here to like help us arrange all of it or something. I don't know. Like so everybody has their data like as an NFT, and like we know who's sharing what, and then if any products are created out of it, the company gets compensated for whatever, but people can share, and I don't know. I feel like that would be a good way to create actual longevity products faster.
It would definitely solve like this big thing that slows us down, that like everybody's holding on to their data set and it's like, oh no, that's mine, nobody can have it, and that's what makes the company like special. But
right. You keep seeing it written that like we're not going to get like the super big like VC dollars until we actually have a product that like slows down aging or actually like works. But I feel like we all have like so much data. Like I have this like crazy fly data, like in silico obviously has tons of crazy data. All these other companies like was it Singularity has like tons of crazy data. Like everybody has this crazy data, but I think that we have enough that if we could put it all together, I think there's probably some things in there that we could find that actually could slow down aging.
Moving away a bit from decentralized science, but still staying in this area, what do you think is the role of network states and pop-up cities, like, for example, Zelar City, towards our progress towards solving aging?
I think that it's a good example of like putting everything that we talk about into practice and just seeing how it really works in real life. If you have a collective of people kind of living what we've all been talking about for the last few decades, it's actually having this discourse, actually living a healthy lifestyle for a specific period of time, like just seeing a little glimpse of what that looks like and what the world could look like if everybody did that, I think is really, really cool. And I think it shows people that this is something that could happen. I mean, granted, for the world to turn into something like Zelar City, obviously a lot of regulatory changes would have to be made, a lot of infrastructure support would have to be built, things like that, a lot of but I think it shows that this kind of utopia, if you will, it is indeed possible. Like it is possible. Like it could happen. Like there is a better, healthier way for people to live and to thrive. And I think that it is really important to show the world that we're not all crazy. Like this could actually happen and be a really good thing and a really good way to live.
Have you ever joined a project similar to Zelar City?
I haven't. I've been invited to Vitalia, but I haven't made it out there yet. I'm hoping to make it.
It's quite
next
a ride.
year, maybe. Yeah.
What advice would you give a young, driven individual that wants to start out in this field, that wants to contribute towards solving aging, that wants maybe to work in a similar direction that you do with Rejuve Biotech?
See, first of all, it's really exciting to see so many young people joining the field. I mean, that's what's been really great this year, especially going to Longevity Summit Dublin and ARDD, is seeing actual like young students like yourself and young grad students actually coming into the field and joining it. Because I remember being kind of the youngest person at these conferences back when they were very small and the field was very small. And it's so great seeing the interest in the field and new people coming into it now. I mean, the advice that I would give, I mean, first of all, now is a great time to come into the field because there are actual concrete advances being made. And I think also with the advance of artificial intelligence and what that's doing for the field and biomedical research at large, I think is going to be huge. Advice that I would give to young people coming into the field would be to obviously try to link up with a lab that's doing aging and lifespan research. There are more and more popping up. There's more companies that are popping up. If you can get an internship with a company or whatever. I mean, Rejuve.bio, we're still really small, but as we grow, I definitely plan on taking student interns. That's something I would love to do. Always has been a goal of mine. And also just, keeping the idea of what this is all about. I mean, people come into this field because we're all very optimistic and we all know that there's a better way to live and there's a better way to exist than just being sick and then solving it after you're already sick. Like, we can actually not get sick in the first place, or we can identify biomarkers really early and treat something before it even happens, or at a very early stage, rather than letting it get us down and create problems later on. And so I would just say, don't lose that optimism and just continue learning all that you can. And it's just buckle up.
From your years of working in the field, like first with the flies, with your first company, with your second company now, what would you say is like one big thing that you learned?
One big thing that I've learned, actually, don't underestimate the value of good marketing.
Okay.
That was one thing that the people who ran my first company really underestimated the value of good marketing, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why it didn't go so well. They didn't really understand the value of paying for it and why they should pay for it. And luckily, with Rejuve.bio, with the help of SingularityNet, we actually do have some good marketing resources, and it's made a lot of difference. You actually can make a lot of headway just LinkedIn and X and social media in terms of people knowing who you are and what you're doing. And I don't mean obviously have good marketing in promoting the things that you actually are doing. If you're speaking at events, promote that. If you have products coming out, promote that. Don't underestimate the value of good marketing and showing off what you're doing with your company, because what we're doing is important, and we have the potential to make this place a lot better.
Yeah. What are you really passionate about? Like something that, if there were no constraints in your life, what do you really like doing? It could be related to your work, but it could also be something totally
So I'm a very passionate volunteer. In my personal life, I've always been heavily involved in nonprofit, community, grassroots kind of organizations. And I get that from my mom. My mom unfortunately passed away from Lewy body dementia 4 years ago, which that all happened coincidentally, as I obviously started studying aging long before she was diagnosed, and then she passed away of an aging related disease, which has only added fuel to the fire. But she was a lifelong volunteer and really believed in the value of investing in your community and really volunteering and lifting up others who might be less fortunate than you. And so I have always volunteered with an organization called the Assistance League, which is a national charity organization. And currently I'm in a auxiliary of that group called Orange Blossoms, which is local to my city of Orange, California, that I live in now. And we do a lot of work where we make sure local school kids have clothes to wear to school, have school supplies, have tutoring help for reading and math if they need it. We help pregnant mothers in crisis who maybe have substance abuse issues or have lost their place to live or have abusive partner issues. We help our local veterans community, our local homeless community, doing things like that. I also sit on the board of our public schools foundations. We help fundraise for my public school, or our public school district, where both my children are students. So teachers can help teachers buy school supplies for the classrooms, help support visual and performing arts, which is also something I'm very passionate about. Other than a love for science, I'm also a theater kid. I've always acted and sang and danced. I was a trained ballerina for a long time. So I'm very passionate about visual and performing arts and having a well-rounded education as a child. And so those are things that I'm very passionate about. So just being really, really active in my community and because I believe in sort of the ripple effect. Do things like that, like where you live in your own sort of space, helping people with that and lifting others up. It ripples out to the larger world at large. So that's something I'm very, very passionate about other than my professional work.
Perfect health. How long would you want to live?
Like forever.
Forever? Nice.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, my personal goal has always been like 120.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like still in like really good health and stuff, like keep the party going.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. What would you do if aging was not a problem anymore, and you know that you can live for like hundreds, thousands of years?
Gosh, what would I do? What wouldn't I do? I'd visit like every country on Earth. I would go to space if that was an option. If that became an option, like
yeah,
I'd probably
I think the sentence "What wouldn't I do?" is quite a good description. Like that's probably also my answer. Like because like there are so many things that I would like doing. In that circumstance. Okay, so those were all my questions, Kennedy. Is there any last thing you want to share before we end this interview?
Just that I am so excited that you're doing this, Elias, and I'm so excited for you to find out how Zelar City goes. And I'm so sorry that I can't be there. That hopefully next time I will make it. But I wish you guys the best of luck, and I'm just like so excited to see where this goes. And I'm just, this is just, I feel like this is our time. This is our time for the industry, and I just encourage everybody to, keep the optimism, put the pedal to the metal, and let's all work together to solve aging and to solve healthcare.
So this was my conversation with Kennedy Schaal. Here you find a video of me interviewing Jasmine Smith. Jasmine is the CEO of Rejuve.ai, so the sister company of Rejuve Biotech. Rejuve.ai is building an app that rewards people for providing their data. All the other relevant links are in the description. Bye bye.